My child, stop right now. I am seriously not joking. Please do not skip this. I am speaking directly to you, not to a crowd, not to everyone, not to whoever might be listening somewhere else. This is for you. I have stopped you mid-scroll, mid-thought, mid-distraction, because I need your full attention for just 1 minute. 1 minute is all I ask, and I ask it with intention, with urgency, and with love. What I am about to say cannot be absorbed while your mind is half elsewhere. Say here with me. I am not exaggerating. I am not creating drama. I am not trying to stir emotion for the sake of emotion. I am telling you the truth plainly because this moment matters. I know how quickly you move past things. I know how easy it is to tell yourself you will come back later. I know how practiced you are at ignoring the quiet pull inside you and choosing distraction instead. That is why I stopped you. That is why I am asking now. Give me just 1 minute of your time and your full attention. This is urgent for your life. Listen to me closely. This interruption is rare. I do not interrupt you like this without reason. I am not careless with moments, and I am not wasteful with words. When I stop you so clearly, it is because something is at stake. I am not joking when I say this. If you ignore this, things will not remain the same. Neutral does not exist here. You will either move forward with awareness, or you will drift further into numbness. I do not say that to scare you. I say it because I love you too much to stay silent. This message is not random, and it is not for everyone. Many will pass by it without feeling anything. Many will scroll past without noticing the weight of it. But you felt something. You paused. You sensed that this was different. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. Heaven has been attentive to this moment. I have been attentive to this moment. I have been watching you longer than you realize, listening to prayers you did not speak out loud, noticing exhaustion you tried to hide, seeing confusion you tried to manage on your own. I know fear wants to rise in you right now. A tight feeling, that instinct to pull away when something feels serious. Let me take that fear from you and replace it with closeness. You are not being confronted. You are being invited. You are not in trouble. You are being cared for. Urgency does not mean danger. Urgency means importance. It means something is worth stopping for. This is not about religion. It is not about rules, rituals, noise, or performance. It is not about proving faith or fixing yourself. Strip all of that away. This is about awareness. This is about presence. This is about you realizing that your life is moving, your time is moving, and your heart has been carrying more than it was meant to carry alone. I am asking you to stop long enough to notice that. Please do not skip this. Please do not tell yourself this is just another message. Please do not let distraction steal what clarity is trying to give you. I am seriously not joking when I say that what you do next matters. Not because everything will collapse if you turn away, but because you will miss the beginning of something that was meant to help you breathe again. I know you are tired. Not just physically, but deeply. I know you have learned how to function while disconnected from yourself. I know you scroll, distract, stay busy, or stay entertained because stillness feels heavy. Stillness brings thoughts you have not wanted to face. But I am here in the stillness, not to overwhelm you, but to steady you. Heaven is fully attentive to this moment because this moment is about direction. You do not need a dramatic sign. You do not need everything to change at once. You need awareness. You need to listen long enough for truth to settle instead of bounce off. That is why I ask for 1 minute. 1 minute can change the direction of a day. A day can change the direction of a life. I am not manipulating your emotions. I am not trying to trap your attention. I am inviting you to choose presence instead of autopilot. So much of your life has been lived on autopilot lately. Doing what needs to be done. Saying what needs to be said. Getting through the day. You were not created only to get through life. You were created to be alive within it. This is urgent not because something bad is about to happen, but because something good is trying to begin. And beginnings require attention. Seeds do not grow if they are ignored. They grow when they are noticed, protected, and given space. Right now, something is trying to take root in you. Not noise, not pressure, verity, honesty, rest. Give me just 1 minute. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow. Let your mind stop racing ahead. You do not have to solve anything right now. You do not have to decide everything right now. You only have to listen. Something begins immediately when you truly listen. Not later. Not after you feel ready. Immediately. I am seriously not joking when I say that this interruption was intentional. I rearranged timing. I allowed delay. I blocked other things from holding your attention so that you would be here now. Not because you are special in a way that excludes others, but because you are seen in a way that is personal. Love is always personal. Type Amen. Your love is unending. Lord, if His mercy has never failed you. Please hear this without fear. I am not angry with you. I am not disappointed in you. I am not counting your failures. I am paying attention to your heart. I am watching the weight you have been carrying and the way you have learned to survive instead of rest. I am asking you to stop surviving for 1 minute and simply be present. This is urgent for your life because direction is shaped by small moments of awareness, not only by big decisions. If you ignore this, you will keep moving in the same patterns, telling yourself you will slow down later. Later becomes months. Months become years. And suddenly, life feels distant from your own heart. I do not want that for you. Please do not skip this. Please say, let this moment finish what it started. You were meant to hear this now. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Now. And what happens next will not be loud or dramatic, but it will be real. Peace will begin to replace pressure. Clarity will begin to replace confusion. Connection will begin to replace numbness. I asked for 1 minute because 1 minute of real listening can open a door that has felt closed for a long time. Stay with me. What you do next matters. My child, I need you to understand why I interrupted you. I do not interrupt without reason. I do not break into moments casually. I do not pull attention unless something truly matters. When I stop you like this, it is because I see what you cannot see yet. I see the direction your heart was drifting, the weight you were about to carry without noticing, and the quiet ways you were beginning to disconnect from yourself. This interruption was not sudden to me. It was intentional, measured, and filled with mercy. You were about to be distracted again. Not by something obviously harmful, not by something dramatic or loud, but by the slow kind of distraction that feels harmless. Another scroll, another task, another moment of numbing, another hour passing without awareness. Those are the distractions that steal the most, because they do not feel dangerous. They feel normal, comfortable, familiar. And little by little, they pull you away from what is alive inside you. I saw you moving toward that familiar escape. I saw your mind preparing to drift, to stay busy, to avoid stillness, because stillness has been asking you questions you did not want to answer yet. I saw how close you were to postponing yourself again. Postponing rest. Postponing honesty. Postponing the moment when you would finally stop and feel what has been building inside you. That is why I stepped in. Divine interruption is not punishment. It is protection. It is mercy arriving before damage settles in. I interrupt because I love you too much to let you drift without awareness. I interrupt because I know where certain paths lead long before you reach the end of them. I interrupt because sometimes the greatest danger is not falling apart, but slowly falling asleep to your own life. You may think interruption is harsh, but love that never interrupts is not love. Love warns. Love pauses. Love steps in when silence would cost too much. If I let you continue uninterrupted, you would not collapse immediately. Nothing dramatic would happen. That is what makes it dangerous. You would simply keep going, telling yourself you will slow down later. You will reflect later. You will listen later. And later has been slipping away from you quietly. I did not interrupt you because you were doing something wrong. I interrupted you because you were about to miss something right. Something necessary. Something that could not wait. I saw the heaviness building in you, the tiredness turning into numbness, the distance between your heart and your awareness growing wider. I saw how easily you were learning to live without checking in with your own soul. And I could not stay silent. Please support our channel. Our mission is to spread happiness in your life and strength and devotion to God. If you wish, you can show your support by donating through Super Thanks. There is mercy behind urgency. I need you to understand that. Urgency does not always mean danger is coming. Often, it means help has arrived at the last possible moment before damage becomes habit. I am urgent because I am gentle enough to care and strong enough to act. I am urgent because love does not whisper when whispering would be ignored. I know you are not intentionally avoiding me. You are not choosing distance on purpose. You are tired. You are overwhelmed. You are doing what you have learned to do to get through the day. But survival mode slowly disconnects you from depth. It teaches you to live on the surface because going deeper feels like too much. And I will not let you live disconnected from yourself indefinitely. This interruption is my way of saying, stop. Look at where you are. Look at how you are living. Look at what you are carrying. Not with accusation, with care, with clarity, with concern. You were about to move on without noticing that something inside you was asking for attention, not later, but now. I show love through urgency because I respect your life. I respect your time. I respect the weight of your heart. I do not treat your days casually. I do not assume you will always have the same openness, the same sensitivity, the same ability to respond. Hearts change. Habits form. Sensitivity dulls when ignored. That is why I interrupt while you can still feel this moment. You may be beginning to understand the seriousness now. Not fear, not panic, seriousness, importance. Wait, this is not a casual pause. This is not a random thought. This is a deliberate moment where direction can shift quietly but permanently. I am not asking you to overhaul your life in one instant. I am asking you to become aware of it. You were about to let another day pass without noticing yourself. Another moment without listening. Another opportunity to choose presence slipping by. And I love you too much to let that continue without intervention. I would rather interrupt you now than watch you wake up later wondering how you drifted so far without noticing. This is why I had to interrupt you. Because you matter. Because your heart matters. Because what you are becoming matters. Because you are not meant to live on autopilot. Because awareness is the doorway to healing, and healing cannot begin in distraction. Stay with me in this understanding. Let it settle. You were not stopped by accident. You were interrupted by love. My child, you have heard me before. Not like this, not with this clarity or weight, but you have heard me. My voice has brushed against your heart many times in the past, gently, patiently, never forcing itself forward. I spoke in whispers because whispers invite closeness. I spoke softly because I wanted you to lean in, not pull back. And you did hear me, even if you later questioned it. I spoke through small nudges that made no logical sense. A sudden pause before a decision. An uneasy feeling when something looked fine on the surface. A quiet thought that returned again and again, even when you tried to ignore it. You felt it as restlessness, as discomfort, as a sense that something was slightly off. That was not anxiety. That was discernment awakening. That was me. There were moments when you knew you should stop, but you kept going. Moments when you felt prompted to speak, but you stayed silent. Moments when you sensed a change was needed, but you told yourself it was not the right time. You postponed what you felt because postponing felt safer than responding. You told yourself you would listen later, when life slowed down, when things were clearer, when you felt stronger. I saw that. I understood it. Hear this clearly now. I do not condemn you for those moments. I never did. I know how overwhelming life can feel. I know how loud responsibilities become. I know how easy it is to dismiss a whisper when everything else is shouting. You were not rebellious. You were cautious. You were tired. You were doing what you thought you needed to do to survive. I remember the inner warnings you felt and pushed aside. The times your heart tightened and you brushed it off. The times you sensed you should step back, but convinced yourself you were overthinking. You ignored me sometimes not because you did not care, but because you were afraid of what listening might require. Change is uncomfortable. Obedience feels risky when outcomes are unclear. I know that. There were also moments when you listened partially. You heard me, but you did not move. You acknowledged the feeling, but you did not act on it. You said, "I'll think about it," or later, or when things make more sense. Partial listening is still listening, but it leaves work unfinished. And unfinished things tend to return. I want you to feel my compassion now, not my disappointment. I am not replaying these moments to shame you. I am reminding you because they matter. They show you that my voice has been consistent, even when your response was delayed. They show you that I did not give up on speaking to you just because you did not respond immediately. This is why I am speaking louder now. Not because I am angry. Not because you failed some invisible test. I am speaking louder because whispers were no longer enough to reach you through the noise. Life has grown louder. Distraction has grown stronger. Unease has become more familiar. So my voice has become clearer, firmer, more direct. Love adapts when conditions change. The repeated call is not rejection. It is mercy. It means I still want your attention. It means I still care enough to reach you again. I repeat myself because what I am saying still matters. I repeat myself because the door is not closed yet. I repeat myself because timing has shifted, and what could wait before cannot wait now. There is importance in repeated calls. When something returns to your awareness again and again, it is not accidental. When a thought will not leave you, when a question keeps resurfacing, when a discomfort remains unresolved, it is because it needs attention. I do not repeat myself to annoy you. I repeat myself to protect you. Each time you postponed listening, I stayed near. I adjusted the pace. I softened consequences. I guarded you from harm you did not see. But there comes a point when silence would do more damage than interruption. There comes a moment when love must speak clearly, even if it feels uncomfortable. You are standing in that moment now. I need you to understand something important. Hearing me before means you are capable of hearing me now. You are not distant. You are not cut off. You are not unreachable. The fact that you recognize my voice, even faintly, means relationship already exists. And relationship is what allows urgency to feel safe instead of threatening. You may feel regret when you think about the times you ignored me. Let that regret turn into awareness, not shame. Awareness sharpens discernment. Shame dulls it. I am not asking you to relive the past. I am asking you to learn from it. Those moments taught you something about yourself. They showed you where fear speaks the loudest. They showed you where trust needs to grow. Now I am asking you to listen fully, not partially. To respond, not postpone. To stay present instead of drifting away. This is not because I will stop speaking if you do not. It is because repeated delay slowly teaches the heart not to listen at all. And I want your heart sensitive, live, responsive. I am still calling you because I still want you close. I am still speaking because there is still time. I am still reaching because you still matter deeply to me. This louder voice you hear now is not anger. It is clarity. It is love refusing to be ignored. Stay with me. Let this call sink deeper than the others. You have heard me before, and you are hearing me now. What you do with this moment will shape how clearly you hear me in the future. I am here. I am speaking. And I am waiting, not with judgment, but with hope. Comment amen. I believe healing is coming now if you're expecting God's restoration. My child, I need you to listen carefully now, not with fear, not with panic, but with honesty. What is at stake right now is not punishment, and it is not my love for you. My love is settled. It does not waver. What is at stake is alignment, direction, sensitivity, the quiet shaping of your future that happens through moments like this, not through dramatic events, but through response or delay. Delay has spiritual consequences, and I speak this to you in truth, not in threat. When something is meant to be addressed and it is postponed again and again, the heart slowly adjusts to carrying unresolved weight. What was once discomfort becomes normal. What once stirred you becomes familiar background noise. And little by little, you stop noticing what your spirit was trying to tell you. That is the danger of delay, not sudden collapse, but gradual dulling. I want you to understand this clearly. Delay does not make me leave. It does not make me stop loving you. But it does affect how clearly you hear me, how freely you move, and how much peace you experience. When you delay responding to what you already sense, clarity begins to blur. You start questioning what you once knew. You second-guess your discernment. You rely more on distraction than direction. This is not punishment. It is consequence. The same way ignoring hunger leads to weakness, not because food disappeared, but because the body was not fed. There are doors open to you right now that are connected to timing. Not every door closes loudly. Some close quietly, simply by no longer being accessible in the same way. Opportunities of growth, healing, and realignment do not always announce their expiration. They remain open for a season, waiting for awareness. When awareness is postponed too long, the season changes. This does not mean everything disappears. It means things become harder than they needed to be. It means lessons must be learned through repetition instead of progress. It means peace feels delayed, joy feels distant, and life begins to feel heavier than necessary. I do not want that for you. That is why I am speaking now. Windows also close, my child. Windows of sensitivity. Windows of courage. Windows of openness. When you are aware and responsive, growth flows more easily. When you repeatedly tell yourself later, something in you learns to stay guarded. Guarded hearts survive, but they do not thrive. And you were not created merely to survive. I am not telling you this to rush you into anxiety. Anxiety never leads to clarity. I am telling you this to awaken urgency without panic. There is a difference. Panic says everything will fall apart if you do not act immediately. Urgency says this matters enough to be addressed now, while it can still be shaped gently. Right now, what is at stake is your sensitivity to truth. Your ability to notice when something is off. Your courage to pause instead of numbing. Your willingness to stay present instead of drifting. These things do not disappear suddenly, but they can weaken when ignored. And once weakened, restoring them takes more effort than listening did in the first place. You may wonder why I speak of open doors and closing windows when you do not see dramatic choices in front of you. That is because the most important shifts rarely look dramatic. They happen internally first. A willingness to listen. A decision to stop avoiding stillness. A choice to respond instead of postpone. These internal responses determine which external paths remain open. If you ignore this moment, nothing will explode. Life will continue. That is what makes it tempting. But you will move forward carrying a little more weight, a little more numbness, a little less clarity. And over time, those small changes add up. You may find yourself asking later why peace feels so distant, why direction feels unclear, why joy feels harder to access. And the answer will not be one big mistake, but many small delays. I am not asking you to do everything at once. I am not asking you to fix your life. I am asking you to honor this moment, to let it land, to let it shape your awareness, to choose listening over avoidance. That choice alone shifts direction. Urgency without panic feels like clarity settling in. It feels like understanding that this matters, without feeling overwhelmed. It feels like knowing you do not need to run, but you do need to stop drifting. It feels steady, not frantic. That is what I want you to feel now. What is at stake is not my approval. You already have that. What is at stake is whether you continue moving forward unconsciously, or whether you begin moving with awareness and intention. Awareness brings freedom. Unawareness leads to repetition. I am speaking now because the door to awareness is open. Because your heart is still responsive. Because you can still feel this moment instead of brushing past it. Because you have not grown numb yet. that matters more than you realize. Stay with me in this clarity. Do not let fear rush you, and do not let comfort lull you back to sleep. Let urgency sharpen you gently. This is not about pressure. It is about care. What is at stake is these with which your future unfolds. And I want that future lighter, clearer, and more alive than it has felt in a long time. My child, I see how distracted you have become, even though you may not fully realize it yourself. Distraction did not arrive loudly in your life. It did not announce itself as danger. It came quietly, disguised as relief. A scroll to rest your mind, noise to avoid silence, constant movement so you would not have to feel what was building underneath. I see it all, and I speak to you now not with anger, but with deep understanding. Your days are filled with noise. Sounds, images, words, updates, conversations, obligations. Your mind rarely rests. Even when your body is still, your thoughts keep moving. You reach for your phone without thinking. You fill empty moments automatically. You stay busy not because you love busyness, but because stillness has begun to feel uncomfortable. Stillness asks questions you have not wanted to answer yet. You did not choose distraction because you are careless. You chose it because you were tired. You were overwhelmed. You needed relief from the heaviness you were carrying. Distraction felt like a way to breathe without confronting pain. Numbing felt easier than feeling. And I understand that. I am not disappointed in you for it. I see the reason behind it. But I need you to understand something gently and clearly. Constant distraction dulls spiritual sensitivity. When your attention is always pulled outward, your inner awareness grows quiet. Not because it disappears, but because it is ignored. Over time, ignoring your inner life makes it harder to recognize my voice. Not because I stop speaking, but because your heart is never still long enough to listen. You may have noticed this already. Prayer feels harder to focus on. Silence feels restless instead of peaceful. Your thoughts scatter quickly. You feel disconnected from yourself, even when surrounded by activity. This is not because you are failing spiritually. It is because your attention has been trained to avoid depth. Distraction does not make you bad. It makes you numb. And numbness is dangerous not because it causes immediate harm, but because it slowly robs you of awareness. You stop noticing what you feel. You stop noticing what you need. You stop noticing when something inside you is asking for care. And when awareness fades, life begins to feel shallow, even when it is full. I see how often you scroll not because you are interested, but because you are escaping. Escaping quiet. Escaping emotion. Escaping the feeling that something needs to change. You tell yourself it is harmless. Just a moment. Just a break. But those moments stack up. And slowly, the habit of avoiding stillness becomes normal. I am not angry with you for this. I am calling you back to awareness. Awareness is not condemnation. Awareness is compassion. It is the ability to notice without judgment. To see where you are without shaming yourself for being there. That is what I am offering you now. You do not need to throw everything away. You do not need to live in silence all the time. I am not asking you to reject the world. I am asking you to stop running from yourself. To notice when you reach for noise automatically. To ask yourself what you are avoiding in that moment. To stay present just a little longer. I want to invite you back to stillness. Gently. Not forced. Not rigid. Not heavy. Stillness does not mean emptiness. It means space. Space where your breath can slow. Space where your thoughts can settle. Space where you can feel again without being overwhelmed. Stillness is where I speak most clearly, not because my voice is weak, but because your heart is finally open enough to hear. I have always been speaking to you, in nudges, in discomfort, in longing, in that quiet sense that something more is available. But noise has been crowding it out. Come back to awareness with me now. Just notice your breath. Notice your body. Notice what you feel without trying to fix it. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to stop running for a moment. Let stillness be safe again. I am here in the quiet. I always have been. I am not waiting to accuse you. I am waiting to meet you. To remind you who you are beneath the noise. To restore sensitivity that has been dulled by constant stimulation. To help you feel alive again, not overwhelmed. Distraction has kept you busy, but it has not kept you fulfilled. Stillness will feel strange at first, because you are not used to it anymore. That does not mean it is wrong. It means it is healing. Sit with me here. Let the noise fade for a moment. Let awareness return gently. You do not need to escape anymore. You are safe here. My child, I need you to hear this clearly, without fear twisting it, without past wounds interpreting it wrongly. What I am speaking to you now is not a threat. It is love. Urgency does not always mean danger is coming. Sometimes urgency means care refuses to stay silent. Sometimes it means love is close enough to interrupt. Fear shouts to control. Love speaks to protect. And I am speaking to you from love. I know that when you hear urgency, your body tenses. You have lived through moments where urgency meant pressure, punishment, or loss. You have been warned before by voices that did not love you, by systems that demanded performance, by people who used fear to control. So when you hear me speak firmly, part of you braces itself, waiting for condemnation. Let me take that fear from you now. I am not here to threaten you. I am here to guard you. Urgency and fear are not the same thing. Fear says, act now or else. Love says, come closer. This matters. Fear pushes. Love invites. Fear creates panic. Love creates clarity. What I am speaking to you carries weight. Yes, but it does not carry harm. It carries care. It carries attention. It carries protection. I warn because I love. Always. I do not warn to frighten you into obedience. I warn because I see what you cannot yet see, and I refuse to stay quiet while you drift toward unnecessary pain. Silence in moments like this would not be kindness. It would be neglect. And I am not a distant God who watches quietly while his children struggle. I am a present God who speaks when speaking is needed. Throughout time, I have always warned those I love, not with cruelty, but with compassion. I warned Noah, not to scare him, but to save him. I warned Lot, not to shame him, but to pull him out of destruction. I warned Israel again and again, not because I enjoyed correction, but because I longed for closeness. Every warning was an invitation to life, not a threat of punishment. Even when my warnings were ignored, my love did not disappear. Amen. Your word is my lamp if Scripture lights your path every day. And share this video.